Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to another injury roundup where I attempt to cover all of the latest team news for all 20 Premier League teams within a 10-minute slot. Caveat, heads up, spoiler, it ain't happening this weekend. We've got far too much going on to cram that into those 10 minutes. But anyway, before we kick off, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been following the channel, everybody who's subscribing and comments. The last 28 days have been off the charts, been blown away by the support and the number of subscribers that we're getting. However, the views don't correlate to subscribers. So if you are watching and you are regularly tuning in, please subscribe. It'll be very much appreciated. That helps us grow the channel, produce more content, and also, it lets us know that you're enjoying the content that we're producing. So again, thanks. And yeah, long may this continue. Right, I'm going to get my phone, as always. Where to start? The international break has been an absolute logistical nightmare, particularly those guys who've been involved out in South America. We know that there's been several fixtures played during the early hours of Friday morning, giving players, well, some players less than 33 hours to recover. So I will discuss all of those and let you know which managers have give us a little peek behind the curtain and give us an indication about who's playing and who's have just ruled out those players. But 2 seconds, I'm going with my stopwatch. We're going to see how long we can actually do this. I'm predicting about 13 minutes and 10 seconds. Here we go. We'll kick off at Arsenal. Things generally quite good. At the time of Thursday's press conference, Mikel Arteta said that there were only 2 potential absentees. We know one of those is long-term absentee Granit Xhaka, a medial collateral ligament problem, MCL there. That's going to be around 2 to 3 months. But also Gabriel Martinelli has picked up a knock, and that means he's a doubt for Monday night. Arsenal have obviously got those additional recovery days as they play Crystal Palace in the last match. There were still 1 or 2 players due back down at London Colney at the time of his press conference. However, now I will need a little bit of assistance in terms of making sure that I don't miss any players. So we're off to Aston Villa. Leon Bailey hasn't recovered as hoped. Dean Smith expects the player to return to training after the Wolves game. There's also question marks over Bertrand Traore. He picked up an injury, a thigh problem, while training with the national team. So at the minute, he's highly doubtful. I expect him to miss out, given that the fact that he's had problems during his time, since arriving at Villa. Keenan Davies, Morgan Sanson, they're both back in training, but it looks as if Saturday's game is going to come too soon for them. Emilio Martinez and Douglas Luiz both played part for Brazil and Argentina, respectively, early hours of Friday morning. Dean Smith said that both players would both be back in the squad. However, they need to be assessed to determine whether they'll be likely to start or not. I suggest that maybe Martinez, obviously with it being a goalkeeper, he's well placed. Although I wouldn't rule out Douglas Luiz at this point. He had a 20-minute cameo from the bench for Brazil. For Brentford, Thomas Frank, he can welcome back Christophe Ayer and Vital Janelt back into the squad. They both missed out last time, but Brentford got a great result. I think it was 2-1 at West Ham. So we'll see if he tinkers with that starting 11 too much, but it's good to see those players back in contention. Long-term absentees Sorensen and De Silva are joined now by Shandon Baptiste. Now, he dislocated his shoulder during that game, so he's out for the foreseeable future. Now, at Brighton, Steven Alzate and Danny Welbeck both went under the knife. They've had surgery on ankle and hamstring injuries, respectively. Now, an estimated timeline for a return to play is around about 3 months, so we may not see them again until the early part of 2022. But good news elsewhere. Adam Webster, Isbasuma and Enoch Mwepu, who missed the last couple of games with a groin problem, they're all back in contention after returning to the training pitches. Sean Dyche at Burnley, Ben Mee, he's recovered from an ankle sprain, then only to be ruled out after testing positive for COVID-19. So he's self-isolating along with, in line with government protocol, and it looks as if Nathan Collins will get a second start in that Clarets lineup. Johan Bergen Monsen missed the recent internationals for Iceland with a knock. He's trained for the last couple of days, looks fine. Mataj Vidra picked up another knock for the Czech Republic. Now, this has been ongoing. The last 2 or 3 games he's been forced off, so there are question marks with regards to his availability. To be honest, I maybe expect somebody like Ashley Barnes or even Jay Rodriguez to come in and play up front alongside Chris Wood. There are also question marks over Charlie Taylor, although the player himself remains fairly optimistic that he will recover in time. However, Sean Dyche said that he won't be taking any chances because he wants to manage the squad, not just in the short term, but looking ahead for the remaining games of the season. Maxwell Cornet looked great when he played, when he started for Burnley since he got a goal, but pulled up with a hamstring problem. He's been away with the Ivory Coast. He didn't get any minutes, but he was training with the national team, and he's absolutely fine. Dale Stephens remains a long-term absentee. Now, across at Chelsea, the big news, Antonio Ruga is out. National team boss Hansi Flick said on Sunday that the Chelsea centre-back was suffering from a minor back issue and that he expected a return to the team against North Macedonia. That didn't happen. He wasn't seen on the training pitches, and Thomas Tuchel actually confirms that the centre-back is going to be out. Now, he's played every minute in that Chelsea backline in the Premier League this season so far, so that's going to be a big blow for them. On the more positive side of things, Romelu Lukaku is fine. He was released from Belgium due to what Roberto Martinez described as muscle fatigue. The game comes too soon for Christian Pulisic's ankle, although he is on the training pitches but working away from the main group. Hakim Ziyech has missed the last couple of sessions due to what Tuchel described as a headache. So maybe there's some underlying illness there and he may not be risked. We've also seen N'Golo Kante post-COVID back on the training pitches, although there was no confirmation that he's going to be involved, and also Reece James as well. So we're assuming that both players are going to be fine, although, like I say, they weren't singled out as players that were definitely coming back into the team. At Palace, very little change. Eze and Nathan Ferguson both recovering from long-term Achilles ruptures. It looks as if Eze is progressing a little bit quicker than initially thought. He's back on the training pitches and doing aspects of training with the squad, so that's great news. And Nathan Ferguson doesn't look to be too far behind. At Everton, again, the headline news here, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are both ruled out. They were involved in light training prior to game week 7, so it was thought that both players would be back in contention. However, Rafa Benitez said they are progressing, they just haven't progressed enough, so they are out. Also, Andre Gomez hasn't recovered from a calf problem. On the upside, Lucas Digne released by Didier Deschamps from the French squad because he complained of hamstring discomfort. He's had 2 or 3 days treatment and he's trained for the last 2 days, so he should be absolutely fine. Also, Seamus Coleman, again, recovering from his own hamstring problem. He's been back out on the training pitches, and you could have your 2 first-choice fullback back in that Everton lineup. Question marks over Yerry Mina. He was one of those players playing for Colombia, played 90 minutes, but what will help Everton, they don't play until Sunday, so they do have that extra recovery time. Alex Iwobi back in contention, but Fabian Delph still recovering from that dislocated shoulder. At Leeds, Patrick Bamford was hopeful of return during the international break, but he hasn't progressed as hoped. Marcelo Bielsa, very coy, cards close to his chest, always said that it depends on the evolution of the injury. However, my understanding is that Bamford will not be available, and also he didn't go out as far as ruling Rafinha out of the game. He spoke about the player, how many minutes he would play, what his performance would be like, and how well rested he is over in that returning period between now and kickoff. We're talking less than 36 hours. Now, Rafinha scored twice for Brazil and played 71 minutes. To suggest that he comes in and starts again straight away, I think it's a far cry. For me, minutes probably will come from the bench. Bielsa did say if there was any kind of risk, then he wouldn't be taking any chances. Calvert-Phillips missed the England internationals with a calf problem, but he is well placed to return to that Leeds side. Elsewhere, Adam Forshaw has recovered a lot quicker than expected. He's fine. And also Somerville, the young winger, he's back in contention after illness. Robin Koch is in the United States, and he's going to have a surgical procedure on the pubis problem that's been hampering him since the opening weekend. Now at Leicester, Johnny Evans played no part for Northern Ireland, but Brendan Rodgers talked about how they had a program in place, and the idea was to get him back and fit for this game. As it currently stands, he's well placed, but we know with that plantar fasciitis, that condition can be aggravated. So, it could be a very late decision, but as it stands, Johnny Evans is in a really good place, and that could be good timing because Yannick Vestergaard has also picked up a knock, and it could be that Johnny Evans comes in alongside Soyuncu. Elsewhere, Wesley Fofana progressing quicker than initially anticipated. It could be early 2022 before he's back. And also James Justin, he's not far away from rejoining the first team squad in training. We're talking about maybe another 3 to possibly 4 weeks. It could be in and around that next international break. For Liverpool, Curtis Jones picked up a groin problem playing for England under 23s, under 21s, sorry, and that's going to keep him out of the early kickoff at Vicarage Road. Ordinarily, that wouldn't be such a massive blow, but of course, Fabinho is being rolled out along with Alisson, 2 Brazilian players. Jurgen Klopp's almost given them a weekend off and told them to fly straight to Madrid for Liverpool's Champions League tie with Atletico next week. So both of those players out are looking at Kelleher to come in, and maybe Naby Keita and Milner in that midfield alongside Jordan Henderson. Diogo Jota, he's trained absolutely fine after being released from the Portuguese squad, and Trent, he's back in contention, and I fully expect him to come in on the right-hand side. Harvey Elliott is obviously long-term, and Thiago Alcantara, calf strain, is struggling at the moment, and there's no definitive timeline on when he could be back. For Manchester City, Edison out, Gabriel Jesus out. Both of those late returners from international duty will not be risked by Pep. On the positive side, Zinchenko and Gundogan have both been past fit. Elsewhere, Ferran Torres, that's the one I nearly missed. He picked up a foot injury playing for Spain in the Nations League. That injury initially happened, I think, was against Italy when he scored his goals. He wanted to play in the final. He was forced off. On his return to Manchester, he's went for scans and they revealed a small fracture in his foot. Now, the suggestion is that we're looking at between 2 to 3 months before the striker is back in contention. For United, they're going to be out without their first choice central defensive pairing. Harry Maguire, calf, and also Raphael Varane, groin. They're both ruled out, and it looks as though Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly will deputise in their absence. So that's a bit of a blow for Ollie. But we will see the return of Marcus Rashford this weekend, being training really hard and involved in behind closed doors games, come through all of those sessions without any problems. Fred, Brazilian guy, out. And also Edison Cavani, he was involved in the match against Brazil. I think he played 90 minutes. He is also being rested. So Ollie without several players there. For Newcastle, again, we've had a big boost regardless of what's happening off the pitch. On the pitch, we can expect to see Callum Wilson, John Joe Shelby, and our skipper, Jamal Lascelles. They've all recovered from injury. However, despite seeing Martin Dubravka on the training pitches, he remains out, and Carl Darlow will look to deputise again. Joe Willock, by the way, has recovered from the knock that forced him off against Wolves. At Norwich, Matthias Norman recovered from the abdominal issue that's kept him out the international. But great news with regards to Todd Cantwell. He hasn't played in a few weeks due to personal reasons and an Achilles issue. He's back in contention, but Christoph Zimmermann may require surgery on his ankle, and he is out for the foreseeable future. Southampton, They will be without James Ward-Prowse for the first time since 2019. He hasn't missed a minute, I don't think, since May 2019. He's serving a 3-match ban, so it remains to be seen how the Saints cope in his absence. Shea Adams will also miss out after picking up a minor muscle problem playing for Scotland. Jack Stevens is the only other worry. That's a long-term knee problem that will keep him out for at least another 2 months. Tottenham, I'll go the internationals first, and again, this will help the fact that Spurs are playing at St James's Park on Sunday, so you have that extra recovery day. Nuno talked about assessing those players on Saturday. Christian Romero, Davinson Sanchez, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Emerson, all players that will need to be assessed once they touch back down in England. Ben Davies released from the Wales squad, illness, no mention there. We don't know if it's COVID related. If it is, he's a serious doubt. If it isn't, we expect him to be in and around that squad. Stephen Bergwijn, he has trained pain-free for the last 2 to 3 days. I don't think he'll be ready for a start given his lack of fitness and sharpness, but he should be in and around the squad, so that's a good chance. For Watford, Peter Edtubu, he could miss around 4 to 5 months following surgery on his thigh. Josh King has recovered from a minor knee ligament issue quicker than expected, so he is back in contention following return to training. But the Hornets will be without Francisco Serralta and Christian Cavasesi, both hamstring problems, for at least maybe the next 2 to 3 weeks. West Ham, David Moyes, very coy, wasn't giving anything away. He said we have 1 or 2 injury problems, and we're also expecting 1 or 2 issues of players coming back from international duty. When pressed on names, he said, I'm not going to tell you. What we do know, Vladimir Coufal and also Ryan Fredericks, they've been managing groin problems. Coufal missed the games for the Czech Republic, while Fredericks did train ahead of game week 7, but he wasn't included in the squad. My own personal opinion is that both could be available and could be included for the Hammers. The caveat for Coufal is it's been managing a problem, whether that issue has been exacerbated in recent weeks. There's not much change in the Wolves treatment room, just Trincao. He was released from the Portuguese squad after testing positive for COVID. Otherwise, it's those long-term injuries to Neto, Johnny, and Mosquera, and also Hugo Bueno. They're all out for the foreseeable future. So I've basically covered all 20 teams, and it has took me, have I managed to do it? No, 15 minutes. So that's probably a new record. Not a record that Jason will want to hear, by the way, because he's doing the editing. But anyway, guys, look, I need a dash. Keep following, keep subscribing, keep posting comments, and I'll see you all again very soon.